Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I still remember that Thursday evening because nothing felt dramatic at first. It was one of those slow, uneventful nights where the house seemed to breathe on its own. I'd finished dinner and sat on the couch. That was my life with Megan. Steady, predictable, quiet. Not bad, not exciting, just steady. Megan and I had been married 10 years. We weren't the couple who argued or slammed doors. We lived in a small house on the edge of town, worked our separate jobs, and met somewhere in the middle each evening. She worked as an operations coordinator for a mid-sized tech company. I managed warehouse teams for a regional supply firm. Different worlds, same rhythms. Breakfast together, commute apart, dinner on autopilot. If you asked me then, I would have said our marriage was fine. Like a book you keep reading even though nothing surprising happens. That night, my phone buzzed on the coffee table. Megan's name flashed across the screen. I expected something like, "Don't forget to lock the door or running late." Instead, the message read, "Going on a trip with my boss, back Sunday." No explanation, no details, no reason. Just that. For a second, I thought my eyes skipped a line. A trip? She hadn't mentioned it this week. I stared at the message, waiting for a follow-up something, anything. Nothing came. I typed, "What trip?" No response. I checked the time, 6:14 p.m. Her office usually closed at 6 sharp. I tried calling her, straight to voicemail. In that moment, something inside me tightened. Not panic, not anger, more like a switch flipping. A part of me I hadn't used in years woke up and told me to pay attention. I wasn't dealing with a surprise work event. I was dealing with a lie delivered through a 9-word text. I opened my laptop. I didn't know what I was looking for yet, but I knew I would find something. 10 minutes. That's how long it took for calm curiosity to harden into certainty. And by the time the clock hit 6:24, Megan had no idea her life had just changed. I went straight to our shared accounts. Megan used the same laptop earlier that week to print a receipt, so her browser logins were still active. I clicked through her recent searches, not sure what I expected to see. What I found didn't take long. A flight confirmation. Booked that morning. 2 passengers. My eyes locked on the second name, Thomas Reed, her boss. No company logo, no corporate billing code. The card used was hers. I didn't react. I just leaned back and let the pieces fall into place on their own. Megan wasn't on a work trip. She was on a trip, the kind people don't talk about until they're caught. At 6:27, I made my first call. Caroline Holt, divorce attorney. I knew her through my brother's custody fight. When she answered, I said, "Caroline, it's Dustin. I think I need advice." Her voice sharpened instantly. "Are you safe?" "Yes." I told her everything, and she replied, "Then you need to document. Don't confront her. Don't send a single emotional message. Screenshot everything and call me in the morning." That was it. No lectures, no sympathy, just a clear path. At 6:30, I went through Megan's email. She had a hotel confirmation forwarded from her boss's assistant. 1 king suite, 3 nights. For conference prep. I clicked her banking app next. 2 Uber trips caught my eye, both to a cafe nowhere near her job. Same time, 2 weeks in a row. Both on Fridays when she'd come home saying she had team meetings. The house felt different as I sat there gathering evidence. Not darker, just honest. At 6:32, I called someone who owed me a favor, a guy named Freddie, who worked with Megan's company on a contract basis. I asked one question. "Does your team have a business trip this weekend?" He didn't hesitate. No trips. Not for anyone in her department. That was all the confirmation I needed. At 6:34, I stared at Megan's message again. She thought she sent an update. She didn't know she'd sent a confession. And she had no idea what I was going to do next. The one thing I knew for sure was that confronting Megan right away would only give her time to hide, twist, or destroy whatever trail she'd already left. Caroline's words stayed in my head. Get evidence. Stay calm. Don't warn her. So that's exactly what I did. She wanted a trip with her boss. She was about to get consequences she never imagined. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was upset, because I was planning. Every decision had to be clean, simple, and undeniable. Megan and Thomas weren't careful, but I would be. At 8:12 p.m., I drafted a short, factual email to Megan's company HR. No accusations, no emotion, just what mattered. Dates, receipts, hotel confirmation, the company name Thomas used to justify the trip. I ended it with a simple line. I believe company funds and time may be misused. Please verify. That was it. 30 seconds later, I hit send. At 9 p.m., HR replied, "We are opening an internal review immediately. Thank you for bringing this to our attention." I leaned back, letting the reality sink in. Megan thought she was getting away with a secret weekend. She had no idea her employer now had the full itinerary before the plane even landed. At 9:30, I forwarded every piece of evidence to Caroline. She responded within minutes. "This is more than enough. File for divorce tonight. I'll handle the paperwork in the morning." No courtroom theatrics, no messy arguments. Just a quiet legal end beginning on the same night Megan thought she was starting a romantic getaway. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. "Talk to you later." I didn't reply. The next morning, HR sent a follow-up asking for clarification on dates, and Caroline handled the response. By that afternoon, Megan's company email was suspended for policy review. She never felt the storm building. She was drinking coffee and scrolling through social media while her entire professional life was collapsing one email at a time. She had left on a trip. She didn't know it was the last one she'd take on the company's dime. Megan came home Sunday night. I sat in the kitchen, waiting, not hiding, just letting her walk into the new reality she built. "Dustin?" Her voice echoed through the house, sharper than usual. I didn't answer. I wanted her to see everything on her own. She stepped into the living room and stopped. She froze when she saw the folder. "What is this?" I walked in slowly, placed a folder on the coffee table, and said, "Sit down." She swallowed hard and obeyed. I opened the folder and slid the first page toward her. Notice of internal investigation. Employee, Megan Carter. Her face drained. "Dustin, what did you do?" "I didn't do anything," I said calmly. "I reported what you did." She shook her head violently. "This is insane. Thomas said it wouldn't come back on us. He said—" I raised a hand. "Stop. Don't insult me with excuses. You took a trip with your boss and booked a king suite. That's not a misunderstanding." Her eyes darted across the documents. "Please, just let me explain." "Explain what?" I asked. "The part where you lied? The part where you walked out with him while telling me it was work?" Tears pooled, but she didn't cry yet. Megan never cried first. She calculated. She leaned forward, voice soft, rehearsed. "I made a mistake. I felt lonely. You've been distant. It wasn't supposed to mean—" "Megan," I said, "you chose this. Don't shift it on me." Her hands trembled as I slid the next set of papers across the table. Divorce petition, filed and time-stamped. She stared at it like it was a foreign language. "You're ending our marriage over one weekend?" she whispered. "No," I replied. "I'm ending it because you destroyed it before the plane took off." And for the first time that night, she had nothing left to say. Monday morning hit her harder than anything I could have said. Megan called me when I was at work. I let it ring. She called again, then again. Finally, she sent a text. "They suspended me. Dustin, please answer." I didn't. By noon, the next update came, this time a long, frantic paragraph. Thomas was terminated. HR asked about the trip. They had everything. "Why did you do this? Please talk to me." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Her own decisions were speaking louder than either of us ever could. That afternoon, I met with Caroline in her office. She handed me a stack of neatly prepared documents. "Her misconduct is documented. There's no basis for spousal support. She'll contest, but she won't win," Caroline said. "Good," I answered. It wasn't satisfaction, just closure. By the evening, word had moved quietly through Megan's company. Not loud, not public, but enough. Her sister, Laura Bennett, called me that night. "Dustin, Megan told me everything. She's crying nonstop. She says you're not listening to her. She lost her job. She needs time." "She can take all the time she wants," I replied. "But the marriage is over." Laura sighed. "She said you blindsided her." "She blindsided herself," I said. 2 days later, Megan moved out of our house and into Laura's. She left with 2 suitcases and a box of clothes she gathered in silence. As she walked out, Megan said quietly, "Please don't let this define everything we had." "It already defined what we became," I told her. She paused in the doorway, eyes red. "I didn't think you'd actually leave me." "You left first," I said. "You just expected me to wait." She turned away because she couldn't argue with that. That night, she sent me one more message, just a single sentence. "I can fix this if you just give me a chance." I placed my phone face down on the nightstand. No response. She wasn't looking for forgiveness. She was looking for rescue, and I was done saving someone who set the fire herself. The divorce moved faster than I expected. Maybe because there was nothing left to debate. Maybe because Megan didn't have the energy to fight. Either way, everything unfolded in clean, steady steps. No shouting, no courtroom drama, no late-night arguments. Just facts. Caroline laid out the terms on her conference table. "Megan keeps her personal belongings. You keep the house, the vehicles, and the savings. There's no spousal support due to documented misconduct." I nodded. "Send it." 2 days later, Megan and her lawyer, Richard Evans, sat across from us in a quiet meeting room. Megan looked smaller than she ever had. A month ago, she walked into airports with confidence. Now, she could barely hold a pen. Richard cleared his throat. "My client believes the terms are harsh." Caroline didn't blink. "Your client misrepresented a personal trip as business-related, exposed herself to termination, and violated marital trust. Dustin is being more than fair." Megan looked at me. "Dustin, please. I lost my job. I'm staying with Laura. I'm trying to put my life together. Don't take everything." "I'm not taking anything," I said. "You gave it away." She flinched at that, but it was the truth. She knew it too. Richard whispered something to her, but she didn't listen. She asked me directly, "Do you really want to end 10 years like this?" "We ended 10 years the moment you booked that room," I said quietly. "This is just the paperwork." The room fell silent. Finally, Megan signed. Her hand shook the entire time. When she set the pen down, she whispered, "I didn't think you'd follow through." I stood. "You thought I'd be too loyal to walk away. But loyalty isn't blindness." She looked up, tears running down her face but without sound. "What am I supposed to do now?" "Start over," I said. "The same way I am." She cried openly then, not the calculated tears from earlier. This was the reality hitting her all at once. The job gone, the home gone, the marriage gone, all tied to one trip she thought no one would question. When the meeting ended, she walked past me slowly, as if waiting for me to stop her. I didn't. Some endings don't need a speech. They just need a door closing behind you. The house was quieter after the divorce, but not in the empty way it used to be. I could breathe in it without wondering what lie might slip through the door next. I settled into a simple routine. Work, gym, home. No drama, no guessing, no checking shadows for answers. I cooked for myself, kept the house in order, and learned how light the days can feel when you're not carrying someone else's secrets. Megan stayed with her sister. Word spread in her industry faster than she expected. Companies don't like scandal, even the quiet kind. Interviews dried up. Projects she once bragged about were reassigned to other people. The fallout from that one weekend didn't end with a suspension. Her entire career tilted off its axis. Laura called me once more. "She's not doing well," she said softly. "I hope she finds her footing," I replied. It was true. I didn't want her destroyed. I just refused to rebuild her world again. A few weeks after the divorce was finalized, I got a message from an unknown number while I was making coffee. "I'm sorry, Dustin. I ruined everything." I looked at it for a moment, then deleted it without saving the contact. No anger, no thrill. Just an understanding that some stories don't need sequels. I sat in the same place where I'd read her first text, the one that started all of this. Going on a trip with my boss. 10 minutes later, her life unraveled. Job gone, reputation hit, marriage over. Not out of revenge, not to punish her, but to finally stop carrying the weight she put on my shoulders. People sometimes ask if I'm afraid to trust again. I'm not. I just learned what trust really looks like. It doesn't hide behind late meetings or vague messages. It stands firm, even in quiet rooms. And now, so do I. Thank you for watching.